What is going on, guys? Scotty Sparks here, bringing you my draft analysis. It's been like 3-4 weeks since I actually did the draft. I'll try to remember exactly what I was trying to do, but here was here's the guys I ended up with, and I'll talk to about my thought process throughout it. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what to do, like a lot of time, and the only thing of all my planning that I thought I was pretty sure I wanted was Thunderous Therian, Rotom Heat, and Jellicent. I thought I could build a team around those three, and they seemed like cool Pokemon. But I made a bad bet in Season 2, so Mark got to pick my first pick, which, being the Fire and Ghost type, as you see there, meant that if I were to pick Jellicent and Rotom Heat, I would have had a lot of dual typing there. I still like my team the way I got it. I'm a huge fan of my team right now. I've already played my first game and I'm liking the chemistry, but this pick made me lose out. So I'll show you that. Without further ado, though, let's go in. So I knew those were the three ones I wanted, but I also knew I needed to have a plan. I knew from the first two seasons the thing my team lacked most was a knockoff user, a knockoff switch in. First season was really bad for it, second season wasn't as much, but I didn't have a good knockoff user. Recent ones I've had were Tentacruel, Mega Scizor. Both are okay, but Tentacruel is probably better, but Scizor, you have to give up the offensive potential. Like, it's more of a defensive kind of utility if you're going to throw a knockoff there. I've had Cryogonal. I don't know why you'd want knockoff on it. I've had Mega Pinsir was one, but Mega Pinsir runs the same 4 moves, and one move is either Earthquake or Close Combat, which isn't knockoff. So I didn't really have a good knockoff user, which is something I do pick up in this draft. I also had a Fairy for 4 weeks out of like the 40 we've played. I had a Azumarill for like 5 weeks and then dropped it because I was shit with it, putting it bluntly. But I haven't had a good Fairy type, and a fast electric type was something I wanted. I had Galvantula last season, which I dropped. I had Jolteon first season, which I misused majorly. So I wanted a fast electric. That's what Thunderous T covered. It covered the knockoff. If I were to use it with knockoff, I'd prefer not to, but it did have knockoff, and it did have Volt Switch and U-turn, which is something else I was also looking to get into. Plus, I wanted to make sure I had my hazards. Like, I want to make sure that teams that didn't draft hazard removal were scared of me, because in a large draft, because we have 15 now, not 11, hazard removal is thin. So I wanted Pokemon that could set hazards, Pokemon that could block rapid spinning, and if I could get it, a Defiant Pokemon to prevent defogging potential. So I'll talk about my first pick. Yeah, I made a bad bet. Apparently Mega Slowbro beats Mega Pinsir. So Mark picked a Alolan Marowak for me. A Fire Ghost type. It's an okay pick. It's not a first round pick for sure, maybe a third or fourth. But I mean, it's pretty cool. So it basically had a portion of the 3 mons I wanted. It was a Fire type, Rotom Heat's a Fire type, Ghost and Jellicent, and Lightning Rod is what Thunderous T has. But I knew I really wanted Thunderous T, so getting the dual Lightning Rod wasn't a big worry. And I could also go Rockhead, which meant Flare Blitz. I didn't take Recoil from that, and Curse Body can be really cool against Scarf users, if they're or even any kind of choice user. If they're locked into a move and now that move becomes disabled, yeah, you're struggling. So I thought that was funny, but which I might try. With it's got decent defenses too. pretty low health, really low speed, and with a certain item, the thick club, it gets like a 170 base attack. Like it's really high. Um, if only I wish I had a trick room user on this team, but a Alolan Marowak does hit hard, and it forces switch-ins. It gets Stealth Rocks too, so it did cover a lot of checks for my team, especially the Ghost to block Rapid Spin, except half the Rapid Spinners are water types, which is something I've got to watch out for. So going to next pick. So it's my boy Mamoswine. Actually, I guess I know the nicknames of my Pokemon, so I'll go over it. Marowak, I'm going to go with Azorahai from Game of Thrones, the prince that was promised. Kind of in a Game of Thrones mood when I drafted the team and thought that'd be a cool nickname. Mamoswine is Everyone Loves Raymond, the actor, Ray Romano, was the voice of the mammoth in Ice Age, I think it was. So his nickname is Raymond. I knew everyone was picking their OU picks, and I was at the end of the beginning of the second round, which means I'd have been at the end of the third round, meaning I would have to wait like 20, 25 picks to get my next pick. Mamoswine wasn't lasting till the end of the third round, but since everyone was picking their OU picks already, I felt Thundurus could. So even though I really wanted Thundurus, I figured take the gamble, why not? I really wanted Mamoswine. Their ice and ground is really good coverage. It's really hard to switch into that kind of coverage. Thick Fat allows me to have additional resistances into fire and ice. My team is kind of weak to ice, which is really helpful for this, but it allows fire Pokemon to not be super effective against me. And with a base 110 health, this thing can take hits. 130 base attack, that's gonna hit like a truck. And 70 special attack isn't terrible. It could be worse. It could allow me to run things like Freeze Dry if it gets Grass Knot, if I need Ice Beam. Like some Pokemon have like a ridiculous defense, but like a really, really weak special defense. So I could throw some stuff there. It does get Stealth Rocks, gets Ice Shard, has a variety of different options to it, which is another thing I wanted for this team. Versatility. I wanted to pressure the team building phase because I feel like I'm getting better in team building. So if I can team build good and pressure them to miss team prep, I'd have a really good shot. Because in my first couple seasons, I wasn't the best at team building. I had my games, but a lot of the time I kind of had to rely on my skill mid game and trying to like turn around the wreckage that my team prep was. And I lost a couple of them, won a couple of them, 60-40 maybe for winning. But hopefully I can fix that with the versatility and the team prep stuff I'll have to work on, but I am getting better, which is good. Third Pokemon. Oh, you saw the fourth Pokemon. Whatever. Third Pokemon. Got Zeus here. My boy Thundurus Therian. Volt Absorb. It's the only ability. As being a flying type, really good. It's also immune to ground. Something that the electric type of it appreciates. It's not weak to Mold Breaker either, which is nice. Only Zygarde, but it's Zygarde. And I can just HP Ice that boy. So 42nd overall pick. That with an attack that's alright. It's pretty good. 105. Can't complain. But a 145 special attack means, and with 101 speed, the beauty about this is that a lot of Pokemon hit that 100 mark. Charizard, Mew, Victini, a lot of those the the Mew Pokemon, I don't know what they're called right now, brain fart, but a lot of things hit that 100 speed. So being 101 allows me to get the jump on them with that 145 special attack. Getting access to both agility and nasty plot is also really good. I can set up both ways Fast enough to use a scarf, fast enough to use a specs, even a band if I want. And like I said before, it gets U-turn and Volt Switch, something that Tapu Koko also gets, which helps it deal with ground types, especially Pokemon like Dugtrio. But since I'm flying, it doesn't really matter. Dugtrio can suck it. That was directed at you, Sean. And yeah, that's basically it. This was like this is something that I feel is very underappreciated in at least in our league. A lot of the competitive leagues draft this boy like top 3 rounds, but this thing hasn't been drafted in the first 2 seasons, and that's something else I wanted to go for, trying to draft Pokemon that weren't used, because a lot of the stuff that wasn't used in a small league of 9 and 11 is really good. Like Dragonite hasn't been drafted, Serperior hasn't been drafted, Victini got picked up by me last year, wasn't drafted. That was another thing I was looking for this draft. So we got Aurora, my Sylveon. Now Aurora was my Suicune's nickname second season, but I switched it because I didn't really like Aurora. But now this one makes more sense because I can just name all the evolutions after Disney princesses, and there's my nicknames. Easy enough. This covers that fairy thing that I was talking about in the beginning. I needed that fairy just because I hadn't had it in 1.5 seasons, and it meant I was Dragon Weak, but it also meant that I couldn't hit. Yeah, it was just fairy's just such a good typing, and it meant I was missing like that cleric aspect. A lot of clerics are fairy types. So being with that 130 Spadef, it gives me a special wall. It's not as good now that Baton Pass is kind of banned, but I wouldn't want to Baton Pass stats anyways. It'd be more of momentum. Get that slow U-turn, I guess, off, so that I could take the hit, get a wish to something. 95 health, pretty good, with that 130 Spadef. 110 attack with Pixelate is nothing to joke about. Hyper Voice breaking through subs. All around just a great Pokemon that I don't really like it, but I know it's good, and I feel like I can use it well. It's one of those Pokemon I feel like that benefit or that are in my range of play. A lot of Pokemon, there's some Pokemon that I just won't draft because they just don't fit my style, but this one I feel can. The bulky, self-healing kind of type. So at this point, I got some of my key pieces. I got the Pokemon I wanted in Thundurus. I got Mamoswine, another Pokemon I wanted. A physical special attacker with a fair amount of coverage. Ground Ice, Electric Flying hits a lot. Thundurus T was going to be my Z user. That way I can Z Fly, and I can Z Focus Blast is another one. Like, I don't really have a Pokemon on the team that I'd make my Z Captain, just because there's no real Z non-damaging move I'd want to use that I'm thinking of at the moment. But so I got my special and my physical. I got I was gifted Marowak, but it's not. It could be worse. And now I wanted to get into the hazard part. I don't have a hazard removal yet. No, I don't. I only have 2 Stealth Rockers. I don't know how much I would use Marowak as a Stealth Rocking Pokemon. It can be used defensively if I need it. But right now only Mamoswine's that. And Mamoswine again is someone that I don't always want to be using as a Stealth Rocker. So we got, what did I nickname him? Knuckles, I think. Yeah, Knuckles from Sonic. It gives me my Spike user. It gives me my defensive wall. With Synthesis, it can self-heal. Leech Seed is another great one. That's a high defense. And the Spadef, not as great, but 88 health. Paired with Sylveon, with Bulletproof, this thing's going to be taking Sludge Bombs for Sylveon. I I do draft a steel type, which can also take the poison moves for Sylveon, but it counters it, like I feel like it's good with Sylveon. Defense versus Spidef. It is a fighting type too with Drain Punch, so I can do some damage to normal types there and dark types. I'm pretty sure I can switch into knockoffs too, resisting them with my fighting stab. And I can get health back with Leech Seed anyways. And a good part about this Pokemon is it's a bulky Pokemon, so it's not like a Selgor that I had first season, where you kind of just throw it out, get your spikes up, and then die. You switch it into an attack, they switch out, you throw the spikes out, and then you should have something that can switch into the Pokemon they just switched into, or Roar or something, like just something so that you don't lose momentum. But it allows you to switch it in multiple times and then get a layer or two of spikes off, which is nice. And it's one of my favorite starters, to be honest. I picked it up in Y I think I started with it in Y. And it's just such a good Pokemon. I'm excited to use it. And going back to the this is probably just talking about starters and my favorite, but this is one of my favorites. Charizard is actually my least favorite starter of Kanto, although almost everyone loves Charizard. I goes like Venusaur, Blastoise, then Charizard, and I really want to use Mega Venusaur one day in draft format, but it was picked up first or second round. Pretty sure it was first round by Kyle, but this gives me a bulky Rapid Spinner, gives me a Water type, Scald. 2 people drafted Rain, so Rain Dish gives me extra health. And for a 79th overall pick, the fact that it was still around was really good. Now at this point, I had not picked my Mega. I was debating waiting it out and picking Mega Blastoise to go into UU, but RU had such limited options. It was definitely the tier that would get eaten up fastest. Like the good picks would get eaten up fastest. And UU had a lot of good stuff. They were very selective, but they had a lot of good stuff. So I decided I'd be safer just draft the Rapid Spinner in the RU tier, give me a free UU slot if I need something to fill in there. And the funny part is that I had my first battle, and I'll throw spoilers because the only people watching this video are the league, so you've already seen the battle. And the fact that Blastoise took 2 Solar Beams in the sun was surprising. Like, I protected him, like, oh, I'm just gonna die. And it was like 30%. I'm like, oh, okay, my physically defensive Blastoise took 30% from a Solar Beam. Granted, it was from an Entei, and granted that Entei was probably invested in physical attack. It had to be, I don't even know what Alex ran, because he had Solar Beam and Flare Blitz, so... And that Flare Blitz did a lot of damage, so I think it was an Adamant. It was an Adamant Entei. So it was only getting hit by like an uninvested minus natured Solar Beam. So I guess it wasn't too much, but I mean it was a stab Solar Beam, and it only did 30-something% from a legendary Pokemon. I was surprised. Too. And this Pokemon, did I name? Yeah, I told him to say that. Nickname for this one, I've decided on Slash. I actually named this one TBD in my first battle, to be determined, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to go with it. And Alex kind of like does what he always does and tries to get me to battle early, and then I had my team ready, and I was kind of expecting him to do it, so I accepted it this time. Next time I'm just going to say, we set a time here, we're battling here. Cause I don't know, I'm just tired of being told, hey, do you wanna battle in 5 minutes, and like I'm not prepared mentally. But yeah, so going back to this, Slash is from an old Ninja Turtles game I used to play. Some Blue Turtle. It looked more like Blastoise in the video game. It was like Manhattan Skyline or something. But I looked him up on the internet, and he was kind of not, doesn't look as much like him. But if you ever go play the game, old NES game, it looked a lot like Blastoise. So now at this point, I needed someone that I knew my U-turner would be in the I was gonna go for a U-turner in the lower NU tier, and I was kind of wanting a volt switcher. The idea was a slow U-turner, fast volt switcher, and then Thunderous could kind of just play the middle ground, having both. That way, I had a bunch of options, 3 different Pokemon that could grant me momentum, which I was happy about. But I drafted Keldeo first season, Trakan second season. I kind of felt obligated to draft one of the dogs. I think the dogs are deer or something. I don't know, but I got this boy Adam after a character in I'm number 4, one of my favorite series. So I was surprised with the stats, to be honest. That high defense, pretty high health, and it's an okay special defense. But that 108 speed gives me that speed tier I was missing, because right now my fastest Pokemon, I believe, is 101. So I was missing that. I had a Pokemon that was going to be in a high speed tier that I was planning to draft later, something that not many people would think of drafting. It's kind of something that fits my playstyle, and my playstyle doesn't always fit the majority of other people. But the justified ability allows me to switch into knockoffs really well. This being my Z user is even better. Get that justified boost off a knockoff that's not doing as much damage because it can't knock my item off. Kind of sucks that it's only 90 attacking stats, but I mean, it's got a bunch of setup potential. I think Calm Mind and Swords Dance, or Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. It probably gets Rock Polish or Agility too. It gets a lot of setup, which is really nice. It gets a lot of coverage, gets that Volt Switch, gets that Stealth Rocks. This puts pressure off of Mamoswine, puts pressure off of Marowak, gives me a third option, which is something I really wanted. I was going to draft Empoleon, and in this league, I was going to go Empoleon, Thunderous, because they combo really well together. But I was looking it up, and people who draft Empoleon usually suffer from the Empoleon curse, where their team just relies so much on it. So that's something I didn't want. I didn't want any one of my Pokemon to be relied on in a specific role, because being relied on in that specific role, say if Mamoswine was one of my 2 rockers, then they know, like anyone facing me knows, the only way I'm getting rocks up is if I sacrifice one of my Pokemon's offensive potential or coverage move to get it up. So now having a third option, and this one can be defensive, so like this can be a momentum defensive Pokemon. Mamoswine can be a Sash Rocks lead, so I just have options. I got the Volt switching, and I got the setup, which is something I kind of was lacking too. But like a good setup user like Marowak, usually just click Shadow Bone and get out of there. Thunderous T could set up really well, but I was kind of using it as a wall breaker. That's what I was kind of drafting it for. Don't get me wrong, I might still try to agility up on you guys and just wreck your day, but it just filled a lot of the holes that my team was missing. And this next pick, we got Liana, the Megalodios. I was really debating this pick. I was gonna go Latios. Like, I'll be honest. Like, my pick was Latios, and then my roommate Dan was like, "I'm picking Latios," and I'm like, "Fuck." Now, what do I do? Because my plan was, I wanted Latios, but Latios was UU, and I needed Cobalion in UU because there was no good fighting type in OU that I wanted. Especially not a steel type either. There was no the fact that Cobalion is a steel fighting, it was something I really needed for my team. So I'm like, okay, so I can't pick Latios, so Latios, I guess. I guess I'll back up with Mega Latios, but Latios fits the speed tier, fits the typing I wanted, has the defog I need, gets the coverage moves, and another Pokemon, like I was saying about Thunderous T, the Lottie twins in our league at least are really underrated. Like, Latios wasn't... No, I think it was dropped for a season. It was drafted and dropped, and then Latios was not drafted and picked up. Second season, I don't think anyone picked Latios, and I think Latios had to be picked up. So, like, I don't know. And they don't go first round, like, competitive leagues. They go, like, mid to late. Like, I got this at 109th. The fact that Latios wasn't taken, because the rules we were doing, as you know. Once the mega or non-mega was picked, the other was off the table. So the fact that Latios was picked meant I couldn't pick Mega Latios, which meant Mega Latios was my option. And also we had a vote going on, and it was tied at this point, whether you couldn't or could use the Mega. You couldn't or could use the non-Mega form if you drafted the Mega. So since it was tied, I felt it wasn't enough to overturn the rule we had, which actually helped my draft because now I get Latios and Mega Latios if I want the offensive pressure, or if I want the bulk, or I want Scarf, Specs, whatever. I have a lot of options there. So it ended up being better that I didn't get Latios. I don't know. I really like Latios. I tried it the first game I played, and I think I picked up a kill or two. I did well. Got the first kill of the game. So now we're going into round 9, and now I'm just kind of like looking at my team, and I'm like, what are the holes that I'm missing in my team? I'm still missing a dark type, still missing a knockoff user, still missing a toxic spike user. This also has pursuit, which is really nice, and with a 95 base speed, it fit in my speed tiers that I was kind of missing. I think I jumped from 80 to 101. So I might go 90 to 101. I think it was 80 though. So having that right there, a fast knockoff user, it's got some bulk, like 110, 75 split with 70 health, 90 attack, a very good utility mon. It's got battle armor. Someone drafted Kingdra, so having this means they can't run sniper on me. Although they drafted a rain team, so I doubt that they run a sniper Kritra. But so this filled a lot of my holes I was missing. That's kind of why I drafted it. Really good mon. And I actually used it the first match, and I was excited. Like it did well. It took hits, knocked off stuff, toxic stuff. Overall, like I'm surprised it went so late. But really good. It just fit my team really well to not draft it. So my 10th pick, Venom, I think. Venom from Spider-Man. 10th pick, I kind of more of a comfort pick, but it had the 145 speed. This meant that I had the option to outspeed things without having to scarf something. And with 100 special attack, it hits hard. It's got Final Gambit too, with 80 health, which means I can take a large chunk off of people, which is nice. Low defense stats. It's not going to be switching into attacks anyways. Probably run Focus Sash anyways. But it's also another spikes user. So if I wanted to run a Fairy Dragon Steel Core with a Selgor, I don't have to rely on Chestnut, especially if my main goal is to try to hazard stack people, and Chestnut has so many weaknesses. Like, it's really good, but it's got a lot of weaknesses, which Bug doesn't. So having a fast spiker and making them debate, like, okay, he's got 2 spikers, I don't know, I kind of like it. And the Final Gambit is some good tech that could come in handy, especially against Pokemon like P2 and Cresselia, Pokemon that are bulky, but I'm not sure what Cresselia's health stat is. It's probably like 100, but like the idea that I can just take a whole bunch of health off someone, and just bypass their defensive stats is nice. I mean, he dies in the process, but does his job. And here, it just fit. This Pokemon just was more of a I wanted it than anything else. It's got Defiant, it's got Sheer Force, 2 really good abilities. It allows me to use it as a setup sweeper, Scarf sweeper, stuff like that with Sheer Force, or from hazard stacking, get that Defiant boost, meaning that if they want to defog, that's fine. I think I go +2, +2 attack. This thing hits like a truck with 123 attack. So a Scarf Brave Bird at +2, good luck. don't defog against me. That's simple. That's why I have it on my team. That threat, and I didn't really have flying. Like Thunderous T is a flying type, but it didn't have the flying stab other than fly. So if I do have fly, like a fly, I'd have to like Z crystal it. But with this, I can just kind of run through flying weak teams or even normal weak teams because it's a possibility. It happens. Throw off that double edge or that return. It's got U-turn too, and a scarf U-turn, banded U-turn, stuff like that. Like I can just get out fast, which is nice. Like momentum is really big. Speed's really big in draft leagues just because with coverage moves it's hard to play a defensive game. Because like Chestnut covers a lot less things. I'm just using it as an example, but it covers a lot less thing in draft format than it does in regular format because if someone has a Pokemon that's weak to Chestnut that Chestnut switches into, the odds there's good odds that it either runs HP Flying or it has a coverage move that it's like, oh, I'm facing a Chestnut which could switch into this Pokemon. Should run a coverage move, which you don't get in regular laddering. So speed. That's why speed and what did I say? Speed and like prep matter a lot. Trick Room, scarves, stuff like that. So that's basically why I picked it. Just a really cool Pokemon in general. And what did I nickname it? Let's see my nicknames. Did I? 88 right above. Oh, Barack Obama. I don't know if it's a hawk or an eagle. I don't care. Barack Obama. Was there anything on this that I need to cut out now? I don't see anything that I actually did prep wise. Nope, just kills. We're good. For all reference, it's a hawk. It's just gonna go drop some healthcare any boys. And the last Pokemon, it was a debate between two Pokemon, this and Dragalge. The reason I didn't go Dragalge is I was watching videos of Mega Mogwai in his season 5 or 4 run when he had it, and I felt like I wanted to pick it because I saw it in action and not because it fit my team well. When I looked at Tyrantrum, there's just too many good things about it to not take it. The fact that it's got Strong Jaw and Rock Head, so I can throw off those head smashes. 121 attack, Dragon Dance, 71 speed. If Magearna was anything to relate to this, the fact that it was a 65 speed and a Scarf Magearna was really good, outspeeding like 121 base speeds. The fact that it's a 71 speed means it's going to outspeed a lot more. So after one Dragon Dance, it can outspeed a fair amount of things. Really good defense, really weak Spadef, decent health, so it can take on some hits. Maybe not those like Earth Powers out there, or those Fairy Moonblast like that. But 121 attack, this thing's just gonna head smash my way to victory. And the main thing that my team was missing was that threat, like that if you don't prep for this, one Dragon Dance and you're done kind of thing. Like I've always had that on my team. What I have first, like I've had Exploud. I decided not to go with it this year just because I had it both years. But something that's like, this is a big threat. I need to prep for it, and it's a low tier threat too. So it's like, it's something that I can bring in, and they might have been like, oh, it's only an RU pick. He's not gonna bring in. Like I won't prep for it, and then just boom burst my way to victory in some of my games, or they'd be like, oh man, like it's such a big threat, I need to worry about it, and then since it's in my RU tier, I'm like, not to say I don't bring my lower tiers. If my playoffs last season were anything to talk about, I had 3 playoff matches, brought Pinsir to one of them, Excadrill to one of them, which means, and I'm pretty sure, what was my third? Victini. I'm pretty sure I brought Victini to 1 too. Maybe 2, but like, the fact that I brought my OU picks to like so little. I think I'm pretty sure I brought my NU picks more than my OU picks in the playoffs, just because I'm kind of an idiot that way. But I thought they worked the best, and that's what I do team wise. Put the mons on my team that I feel do the best. And going back to this guy, the fact that he fits, and I didn't have a rock type, and Latios was my dragon type. But I mean, this gives me a physical dragon hitter, that outrage, that stuff like that. Where Latios would be like drop Draco and then be done. Plus, a lot of fairies are spit F that I know of. So the fact that they try to switch into say an outrage and then it's just like head smash, they're gone, is nice. What else? That's my 12 months. So I do feel like I had a really good draft. A lot of these mons. Okay, I've used a Selgor in my first season. I've used regular Latios. And that's it. Like, this is a new team to me. Like, and that's what I like using the draft for, the format for, is I like picking mons that I think are cool, but I haven't used before, and getting experience with them. Like Excadrill, so much appreciation for Excadrill after last season. Same with Mega Pinsir. Like, those boys, no one switched into those hits. Same with Gorgeist. I'm so mad I don't have it this season, but didn't really fit, and it meant I had to give up one of my 3 NU picks, which I just didn't want to do. But yeah, I'll end the video there. It's pretty long. That's basically why I picked my team. I feel like I'm going to do well, even though I'm 0-1. But that, I mean, it was against Alex. I just expect losses now. I don't even care anymore. What do I have? 15 teams. I think I still have 13 more games. I feel like I can pull off enough wins. First time I didn't go 1-0 to start the season, but I mean, it has to happen. It's fine. Yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.